After my incarceration, I got out in February 2018. I had to plead to some things that I didn't do, which still bothers me to this day. Um, I went and stayed at a friend's in a hotel, and I went back and forth between like a Motel 6 and a couple other places, and a friend's place over at 51st and Manor. That happens to be nearby where a friend Clyde lives. The last time I'd seen Clyde was when I was at the Grove on my birthday, actually. He just happened to stop. He happened to contact me and was eating lunch at a Mexican restaurant near me in April of 2000, April 22nd, 2018, or 2017 when I was at the Grove. That's the last time I ever saw Clyde. Well, before I left jail, they kept bringing up Clyde like a motherfucker over and over and over again. And he's on the soundboard. He's also on the visual board. And they kept projecting his face. And around December and or January, while I was still in jail, among a couple other people, but primarily him. Well, after my birthday in 2018, when I was staying at a friend's place who happens to live by where Clyde lives, I went to his house, and I saw a realty for sale sign out there with his brother's name on it. I didn't know it was his brother, but I called the number, found out it was his brother, and I found out Clyde died. And immediately after that, they did the visual board with Clyde, and they've done it ever since. So they knew that he had died, and they didn't tell me. And they also knew that he had offered to have me stay over at his place back in 2017 during the week while he did Airbnb on the weekend. And I considered it, but I didn't want this coming over there and following him, or them bothering me and me causing like commotion. And I kind of regret it to this day, because that's the last time I'd ever seen Clyde. I was informed that Clyde had died in January of 2018 while I was in jail. And these motherfuckers knew about it. They didn't care. They still don't care. So that's the last time I saw him was on my birthday when I was at the Grove in 2017. And I didn't know that his cancer had come back. I thought it was in remission. Shortly, and I started tearing up right after I got right at the end of the conversation with his brother, and they just kept mocking me about it, which is horrible. And I walked back, and within a week, I went to my friend Tom's house and stayed with him. And we did this thing where, like, when he had his kids, or when his wife had her kids, I would go to a hotel, usually Wood Spring, which just happened to be near, right next door to the hotel, the Red Roof Inn, where the Austin bomber was. And if you remember, when the Austin bomber was around in, I think, 2017, they said they were going to Arlington Road me, which the ending of that is very bad for the good person, and that they were going to frame me as the Austin bomber. It's pretty scary stuff, the shit that they say, especially when they can get other people and they have the cops help to manipulate things and to frame you. They've already framed me for crimes I didn't do, and forcibly sedated me. So that was pretty scary. I went through pretty much a quiet period where I hardly ever talked to them, which I've kind of gone through now. But now it's April of 2019. I went through that quiet period where it was just me and Max staying at the Wood Spring, and all I did was go out and smoke and walk them and come back, eat, poop, sleep, watch TV. And they continue to do the pain stuff. Occasionally they go through these cycles usually where they do one thing, usually like for one day or a few days, depending on how bad it is. And then the migraine, the head thing usually would migrate with, like, I think that's like a once a week thing, or once every couple of weeks. They'll do 1 or 2 days where like they not just hit my neck, but they'll just do the migraine, and it would like 1 or 2 times it brought me to tears. It was so painful. So I did that for a few months. They still attacked me even when I was at Tom's house, but I didn't want to cause a scene. I mean, I would mention it sometimes, but that was pretty much it. I went to see my doctor during that time period. This is April, May, June of 2018. I went to Red River Family Practice, Dr. J. Eric Lambeth. And that's when I found out that the 2 nurses or medical assistants had actually confessed to wrongdoing and had admitted to what they had done, to stabbing me. We didn't discuss the release of medical information, and he didn't give me a reason for it. I don't know if they gave him a reason for it, but they still work there, which I find incredible. I just can't believe they still work there. I don't know if they're still working there to this day. I immediately, and I'd already been contacting APD, I had escalated it to Lieutenant Christine Chomot of Austin Police Department. And I still continue to contact the detective and his sergeant, and who hung up on me once. He picked up the phone, actually, and I heard some talking, and then he hung up. So that would be a regret for him, that he never, well, for all of them, for not returning my calls. So they'll never work in law enforcement again, and I might go to jail depending on how negligent they were and how complicit they were in this, which I've always assumed that they weren't. But I immediately, and I also escalated it to the commander, Art Fortune, and around that time period, and I immediately left them all messages. And I said, hey, these 2 top suspects, which I've informed you of as of April of 2018, they've confessed. So you need to go and question them. And I'm sure that we would both agree, and I want you to know that I think you're the more appropriate person to confront them about it, and that we don't want to resort or to leave the victim in a place to where they might want to resort to self-help with a direct confrontation, because that could lead to something bad. And APD would be more, they have to get it on record anyway, even if they confess to me, and they would be more appropriate to avoid any sort of bad escalation that could happen with a direct confrontation. And I made that very clear. I was like, I'm trying to align with you guys. You guys are the appropriate people to handle this. They've confessed. I emailed them too. I left them voice messages immediately. I also texted my father, and I told him they confessed, and he did not respond to that text message. And that bothered me so much. It still bothers me. It's such a disappointment. It's such a failure on his part because he kept questioning me. He's like, he kept saying, well, maybe they got blood from the second blood draw. No, they didn't. And I was like, they confessed wrongdoing. They admitted to doing it. I was like, you don't think this is related to what I'm going through? Like, that would never happen to anyone in their entire life. And this involved 2 staff members. And my dad kept questioning my recollection of it. And I'm like, Dad, I don't have a problem with my memory. I wasn't high. Even if I was high, I wouldn't have a problem with my memory, but I wasn't. And I was like, they confessed wrongdoing. And he didn't respond to that. And I was so hurt by that. I'm still hurt by it. I'm still so disappointed that he questions every single thing in my document. Not that he's read it all. I doubt that he's read much of it at all. And watched any of the videos. And Dad, I know you're not watching the videos. I can do statistics, and you're not watching the videos at all. You have not watched every single one of those videos. Even when at the time that you said you watched every single one, you did not watch every single one of those videos. You're a liar. And I'm so disappointed in you for that. But I didn't get like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't even get like, I'm sorry I was wrong. I'm sorry that I doubted you. I'm sorry that I repeatedly doubted you. I'm sorry that I came up with my own recollection from your recollection, which is incorrect. And I'm sorry that I made you feel bad every single time you had to correct me on it, or didn't respond to it every single time you corrected me on my recollection of your recollection. I'm sorry that I doubted your recollection at all when it was 100% accurate. Not one apology. I've got one apology from my father, and he's treated me like shit, and he doesn't think so. And I'll never forgive him for that. Among so many other things, which is like, I didn't want to get to this, but they keep pushing it, and it's like, they're having, so many people are failing me in my life, and they just keep pushing it, and they don't give a shit. And it's like, I can't have a normal relationship with my family again because of the way that they treated me. Because even if I was a crazy person or a drug addict, which I was neither, you don't treat people like that. You don't question people's memories over and over and over again. I did that enough. They did that enough for me. I did that enough for myself. So you don't need to question over and over again. And when I correct you on it, you shouldn't get angry at me, and you shouldn't get defensive. I didn't know my dad was such a defensive, stubborn person. I thought that like you could just correct him on something and that he would reprocess the inputs and come out with a new conclusion, or come out with, reprocess everything, put it through, he's a logical person like me. He was a programmer too. And I didn't get that from him. I'm so disappointed in that. Like, I corrected him on this. No, Dad, I was not an emaciated meth head. I was not using like you think I was. I was not high at any of these times. I did not have a drug damaged brain. I wasn't using drugs the way that you think I was. I was not emaciated. I was not the person that you think I was. And even if I was that type of person, you still don't treat people like that. And when I've corrected you on that and shown you that I'm not that type of person, you should change your memory, change your brain. Like, I can do that. They correct me on things like, oh, remember that thing? That was us. I'm like, oh, so I really don't know if I have a bad reaction to whatever that one sleep medication is that they give in jail that I don't like, that I thought gave me restless leg syndrome. No, it was them. So when I took it, they gave me restless leg syndrome, I think. And it's like, it's a possibility. It's probable. And so it's like, boom. So I don't know if that drug actually has a negative side effect on it. It doesn't really matter because, I don't usually take drugs for that. But if so, I, could take melanomin or a melatonin or Ambien, Zolpidem. So it's like, but my dad's so stubborn, and it's like I correct him on stuff, and he doesn't even respond to it at all. It's been so disappointing. But during my time at the Woodspring, I got a text from Tim Cunningham, who is the guy I used to date. He used to work at Midtown Spa with the manager, Alan Stewart, and he lives with him, and I had visited him before, the year before. There, and I was describing this shit. I had seen him, I visited him while I was at the Grove in Manor, and where Alan has the house there. And they said that they had a room for rent for like $400 a month. And I was like, shit, I'm on it. So the next day I went over there. And then again, my dad and Tom were like having a conversation behind my back when they were pushing me to find a place. And then I found a place for $400 a month. And they're like, well, hold on. And then I'm outside waiting for a lift after I'd already informed them of it like the night before. And like, they're like questioning it. And I'm like, got all my stuff there on the curb. And they're sitting there spending like an hour, like having a conversation, like, is this good for him? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, how is hotel hopping? Like what the fuck? Like, you keep pushing me to get out of a hotel and to find a place. And I found a cheap place for $400 a month, all bills paid. And you're questioning it? Like, when you didn't question it last night, like you couldn't have this hour conversation behind my back, which I don't appreciate anyway. Behind me, like you couldn't do that. Like, I'm sitting there. I even sent a picture of Tom, of my stuff to Tom and my dad, I think. And I was like, they're in my bags. Like, I'm on the curb waiting to go. Like, what the fuck? Like, I want to go. I'm sitting here isolated. I don't have any friends here. There are drugs. Like, if I wanted to get drugs, I could get them here if I really wanted to. Like, what do you think? Like, anyway, so disappointing in the reaction to that. Like, they're treating me like some person. Like, first of all, you want me to find a place. I find a place, And I already tell you about it the night before. And then like when I'm ready to go, I'm like, okay, I got my stuff. Okay, I'm gonna go. Like Tom, I have to ask you to order me a lift, anywhere, when I need to go somewhere. And here I am. And like you just all of a sudden like pause and make me feel like some sort of like outcast and retard and like it's so humiliating, and it's so dehumanizing, and it just hurts so much, and it makes you feel so bad when people do that. Don't talk about people behind their back like that. Like, I'm a competent, rational individual, and when you talk to me like a normal person, I demonstrate that. When you frustrate me, like again and again and let me down while I'm being tortured and terrorized, yeah, I'm gonna start putting all caps in text messages. When I would send you text messages over and over and over again, telling you like I'm still being tortured and terrorized. Can you please hire an investigator and go question those ladies? Can you please send someone with drones and look over the house? No, you never did that. Over and over and over again. And like I said, don't let me know about it, initially, because like if you tell me about it, then they'll go away when you come over. And it's a logistics nightmare. And I told him that while I stayed at the house in Manor, over and over and over again. I got zapped all the time. It's not as bad as it is now, but it would get worse and then it would get better. And then they would like say, well, if you do something, whatever. And Alan and Tim both do meth. I didn't think Alan did, but he does. And so, there's two incidents that I did videos on that, near the end of my stay there, but I had gotten kicked out once, and Alan Stewart, like, you're a horrible person for what you did to me. You don't just kick someone out if like something happens. First of all, I didn't do anything wrong, and then you kick me out, and then you do it again. Like, you call the cops and lie to them, and like then I come over, and then like bags packed, like, just leave, like, just homeless, like, what's wrong with you? But like, he's bringing over, like, not that I judge these things, and I'm mentioning this just because my dad judges these things, and for Alan, I think it's hypocritical. But he's done meth. I smelled meth coming from his room, and he brings like guys over sometimes, and he does it alone and possibly with them too. Maybe that's how he gets them, or he pays for them. They're hookers one way or the other, and I don't care about that. I really don't. I don't think there's anything wrong with either one of those things, as long as you're not hurting anyone. But to judge me and to lie to my dad about how things really are when I'd only been loud 2 times the entire time, like I was there when you were there. Like when Tim was there, like I was more relaxed, and like, yeah, I would tell him more about the shit that I was going through. Just because I'm feeling pain worse, that's no reason to rip someone out of their bed by the police, put them in the hospital, and then put them in a crazy place, which made me worse. I'm not suicidal, but I guarantee, but Dad, Alan, Tim, what you guys did, you guys drove me closer to suicide than ever before. And I still wasn't suicidal, but you drove me to a place where I was so hopeless and so hurt and so scared and so alone and so still being attacked by these people and so down that, like, that's probably the closest that I ever wanted to kill myself. And I still didn't want to, but I'm mentioning that because you don't treat people like that. You took me from one place and you put me in a worse place, and you say it was for my own good. First of all, on paper or just talking about it, there's not one way you can look at any of those situations and think I did the right thing when I'm being you. So like, Alan, you can't say that you did the right thing. Dad, you can't say that you did the right thing. Tim, you can't say that you did the right thing. You absolutely, there's no way to look at it in any way whatsoever, with however you feel or however like ignorant you are with regarding mental health people or homeless people or drug addicts. None of those of which I am. And even if I was, you don't treat people like that. You treated me like shit. You did something horrible to me repeatedly, and you didn't apologize for it. You didn't make right on it, and you still think you did the right thing. Dad, the totality of what, like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's complete and utter bullshit. Like, right now, you think the police should be able to come, like my landlord or owner should be able to come in here and take a hammer to my door, and take the door handle off with the lock? That's illegal to begin with. That is violent. I don't care what you say, Dad. That is violent. Saying the same thing that Tim said with about, well, it's his door. He can do whatever he wants. Not when he's renting a room out to it. Not when there's someone in there who doesn't know that there's about to be a hammer taken to the door. Well, he did, because I guess he gave me a 1 second warning or 2 second warning, right? You don't treat people like that. And I will never forgive any of you for that. And Alan Stewart, you're a horrible person. And Tim Cunningham, you're a horrible person too. You are. You're a selfish individual. When I was there, you treated me like I was like your part-time boyfriend. And I was like, I don't want to be boyfriends. It's like, okay, not. But then you still treat me like a boyfriend and not just a friend or a roommate. Like, and then you trap me in this weird situation. And then you use, and then and then Alan uses, and Alan starts vaping for no reason and gets tattoos and bringing home hookers, none of which I care about. I don't think those are bad things, but they're bad things when you're doing it and then you're judging other people. And I didn't do anything wrong. I'm being attacked all the time. For Alan, for you to say suffer in silence, that is one of the most horrible things you can say to someone. They can say a whole lot more. They've said a whole lot more horrible things. But as far as normal people, mostly normal people, I was so offended by that. And yeah, I know I was being loud. I'm being hurt, regardless if you think it's coming from a neurological condition, a mental illness, which pain does not come from mental illness. Aside from that stupid depression commercial with depression hurts. And I'm not saying that that's not the case. But aside from that, mental illness does not cause pain. Okay? Pain can cause from neurological conditions, nervous system conditions. I don't know, but not that I know, but and whatever else, I don't know, but it doesn't come from schizophrenia. Schizophrenia does not cause pain. Paranoia does not cause pain. Psychosis does not cause pain, although you can probably act freak out and stuff and think you're about to get hurt when you're not getting hurt, but it doesn't cause pain. And it doesn't cause pain that other people can feel when they hover their hands over your body, as people have gone on written and in-person record with Travis County Sheriff's Department. That doesn't happen. I'm so disappointed in you guys, and I will never forgive you for the way that you treated me. But that was basically 2018. I got out of jail. I stayed with a friend in hotels. I was hotel hopping. I found out Clyde died. I found out, well, I guess that's the reason why they were fucking mentioning him, so that they could build up to this whole haha, he died and you never got to see him again. The last time you saw him was on your birthday last year, and now it's just past your birthday this year, and you find out he died, 3.5 months ago. Horrible people. And Alan Stewart, I'm going to find. I'm going to make sure that you don't ever work in law enforcement again. Not that you really work much in law enforcement now, but you shouldn't be a constable, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Tim, you should be ashamed of yourself. Dad, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm never going to speak to you guys ever again, and I'm never going to forgive you guys for what you did. And this isn't one of those I never things where I'm going to go back on it, because it hurt me so much repeatedly, and there's no way that you can make right on this. There's no way that you can. There's no way that you can fix what you did and what you didn't do. A lot of the failure was on what you didn't do. And I'm being tortured and terrorized every single day, sexually and physically assaulted every single day. Now it's all day long, and you're just going about your life. So, Dad, have fun at your next Bruce Springsteen concert. I don't ever want to see you again.